Case: The Lure of Atlantis. Dr. Marcus Webb's expedition to locate Atlantis was funded by wealthy enthusiasts who believed the myths. I was hired as the expedition's videographer to document our discoveries for the benefactors. We'd been searching for 3 months when we found the structures. Perfect columns rising from the seafloor at 800 meters. Too perfect to be natural. Too ancient to be from any known civilization. Dr. Webb was ecstatic. This was it, he said. Atlantis. We deployed the submersible, descended to investigate. The city was larger than our sonar had indicated. Streets laid out in geometric patterns. Buildings intact despite millennia underwater. And everywhere, statues. Human figures carved from stone, faces frozen in expressions of terror. We documented everything. Took measurements, samples, photographs. Dr. Webb theorized about the civilization that had built this place, their technology, their culture, their sudden destruction. But something was wrong. The city felt too intact, too preserved, like it hadn't been abandoned, like it had been sealed, deliberately. We found the temple in the city center. Massive structure, stepped pyramid design, covered in warnings carved in languages we couldn't read. Dr. Webb wanted to explore inside. I argued against it. The warnings were clear. Stay out. Leave this place alone. But Webb was obsessed. He piloted the submersible to the temple entrance, found the doors partially open, maneuvered inside. The interior was filled with murals, depictions of the city in its glory, millions of inhabitants, advanced technology, then catastrophe. Not from nature, from something they had summoned, something from the deep ocean, something that had accepted their worship and then demanded sacrifice. The final mural showed the city sinking, the people drowning, and the thing they had worshipped, consuming them. All of them. Dr. Webb was transfixed. He said this was the discovery of the century, evidence of advanced prehistory, of civilizations we'd lost, of... The temple moved, not the building, the murals. The carved figures started shifting. The stone people began to turn their heads, to look at us. Their mouths opened, started screaming. I told Webb to leave, to get us out. But he was staring at something I couldn't see, something at the back of the temple. In the darkness our lights couldn't penetrate. It's still here, he whispered. The thing they worshipped. It's still here. Still alive. The submersible's lights died. We were in complete darkness. I fumbled for the backup power, couldn't find the switch. Webb was talking to something, whispering, making promises. When the lights came back on, Webb was gone. The hatch was open. Water was flooding in. I sealed the breach, barely, abandoned the submersible, used the emergency ascent system, shot to the surface alone, the sub sinking behind me. The support ship found me, asked where Webb was. I told them he'd gone into the temple, that something had taken him. They recovered the submersible. The footage was corrupted, nothing but static. Webb's body was never found. But I saw the temple before I surfaced, saw it clearly in the lights of the ascending emergency pod. The doors were closing, and I saw figures inside. Human figures, walking, moving. The statues we thought were carvings, frozen in terror. They were real people, Atlanteans, preserved by whatever they'd worshipped, kept alive, if you could call it that, for thousands of years, trapped in the temple, serving the thing in the darkness. And now Webb is one of them. I saw him at the temple doors, watching me ascend, his face frozen, his eyes aware, trapped in the stone that was slowly replacing his flesh. The expedition was declared a failure. No evidence of Atlantis, just sonar anomalies and one scientist lost in a diving accident. But I know the truth. Atlantis is down there, preserved, waiting. The city sank because of what its people summoned, what they couldn't control, and it's still there, in the temple, in the darkness, keeping the Atlanteans alive, frozen, aware, for eternity. And anyone who finds the city, who enters the temple, joins them, becomes another statue, another servant, another prisoner in stone, forever aware, forever trapped, forever serving the thing that destroyed Atlantis, and now waits for new worshippers to add to its collection. Case: the Uncharted Isle. I was the only survivor when the Cassandra went down. Storm drove us onto rocks, tore the ship apart. I grabbed a piece of wreckage, held on while the waves battered me. Woke up on a beach I'd never seen on any chart. The island was small, rocky, covered in vegetation that looked wrong, too dark, too twisted. Leaves that seemed to move when I wasn't looking directly at them. No birds, no insects, no sounds except the waves. I explored. Found the ruins on the second day, ancient structures carved from black stone, covered in symbols that hurt to read. A city, I thought, long abandoned. But the fire pits were recent, and the bones scattered around them were human. I tried to leave, built a raft from driftwood, launched it 3 times. 3 times, the current brought me back to the same beach, like the island wouldn't let me go. On the 4th day, I saw the inhabitants. They weren't human. Not anymore. They'd been human once. I could see that in their faces, in the remnants of clothing they wore. But they'd changed, adapted to the island. Their skin had taken on the color of the rocks. Their limbs had lengthened, fingers turned to claws. And their eyes, God, their eyes were black, reflective, like insects. They didn't attack. Just watched me from the ruins, waiting. I found the pool on the 5th day, in the center of the island, surrounded by the ruins. The water was black, viscous, and there were things in it. Not fish, things that looked like embryos, like developing humans, floating in the dark water, pulsing, growing. The pool was making them, the inhabitants, taking the humans who washed ashore and remaking them, turning them into things that could survive on the island, things that would serve it. I ran, tried the raft again, failed again. The island wanted me, wanted to change me, make me like the others. On the 7th day, I felt the first changes. My fingers were longer. My skin felt thick, rough. My vision was sharper, but the colors were wrong. The island was working on me, remaking me from the inside. The inhabitants came that night, led me to the pool. I tried to fight. Couldn't. My body moved without my control, walking into the black water. I felt it enter me, felt it rewriting my cells, my organs, my brain. I'm writing this while I still can. While I still remember being human, the changes are accelerating. My hands are claws now. My eyes don't see color anymore. And I can hear the island. It speaks in whispers, tells me what I'm becoming, what I'll do. I'll join the others. I'll wait on the beach for the next shipwreck, the next survivor. I'll lead them to the pool, help the island make them like me. Because the island is alive. It's been alive for thousands of years. It feeds on humans, changes them, uses them, and it's always hungry, always waiting for storms to bring it new material. If you're reading this, I'm sorry. It means you found my journal on the beach. It means you're on the island, and you won't leave. The currents won't let you. The island won't let you. Soon you'll see the ruins, the pool, the things like me, waiting to welcome you, and you'll join us in the black water, in the transformation. You'll become another servant of the uncharted isle, another hunter, another thing that used to be human. I can see you now, on the beach, reading this. The changes have already started. I can smell it on you, the island's mark. Come to the pool. Don't fight. It hurts less if you don't fight. Come join us. Come become what you were always meant to be. The island is waiting, and the island is always hungry. Case: the night ocean. I came to the coastal town to paint. The isolation, the raw beauty of the sea, the perfect light. It was everything an artist could want. The locals were strange, avoided the beach after dark, warned me not to swim, not to look at the ocean too long at night. They said the sea was different here, older, aware. I dismissed it as superstition, painted during the day, swam in the mornings. Everything was normal, until I started the night paintings. I'd set up on the beach after dark, canvas and oils, trying to capture the moonlight on the waves. The first painting came out wrong. The ocean I'd painted looked malevolent, hateful, like it was watching the viewer. I tried again, same result. The ocean in my paintings looked alive, sentient, angry. On the third night I felt it, a presence. Attention focused on me from the dark water, not imagination, actual awareness. The ocean was watching me paint, judging my work, and it didn't like what it saw. The waves changed, started moving toward me specifically, not random tidal action, purposeful movement. Reaching for me, I moved my easel back. The waves followed, crawling up the beach, defying gravity, stretching toward me like arms. I ran, got to my cottage, locked the doors. Through the windows I could see the ocean, closer than it should be, higher. The waves were piling up on themselves, building into a wall of water that shouldn't be stable, that couldn't be natural. And in the foam, I saw faces, expressions of rage, of hatred, of something ancient and vast that had been disturbed. The ocean spoke, not in words, in feelings, impressions hammered directly into my brain. It was old. It had been here before humans, would be here after, and it resented our presence, our pollution, our assumption that we could use it, paint it, capture it in art. It wanted me to stop, to leave, to never depict it again. I tried to leave the next day. My car wouldn't start. The road out of town was flooded. The locals wouldn't help. They knew. They'd always known. The ocean didn't want me to leave until I'd learned my lesson. I destroyed the paintings, burned them, promised never to paint the sea again. The flooding receded. My car started. The ocean let me go, but it followed me. I moved inland, as far from the coast as I could get, but I still feel it. The ocean's attention, its hatred. It knows where I am, watches through every body of water, every lake, every puddle. And sometimes, at night, I hear it. The waves crashing, getting closer. The ocean is vast, patient, and it remembers those who defied it. I don't paint anymore, can't hold a brush without feeling the ocean's rage, can't look at water without seeing the faces in the foam. The sentient, hateful sea that wants me punished for daring to capture it in art. It's coming for me, I know it is, rising from the depths, crawling across the land, to drag me back, to pull me under, to show me what happens to those who paint what should not be painted. The night ocean is real, it's alive, it hates us, and it never forgets. Case: fire in the galley stove. The Unicorn was a merchant vessel, carrying timber from Maine to Charleston. Crew of 12, routine voyage. I was the ship's cook, responsible for feeding the crew from the cramped galley below decks. The attack came at dawn. I was preparing breakfast when I heard screams. Rushing footsteps on deck, gunfire. I grabbed a knife, started for the ladder. The hatch slammed shut above me, locked. I pounded on it, shouted. No response. Just more gunfire, more screaming, then silence. I waited. Hours. No one came. No one opened the hatch. The ship was still moving. I could feel the engines, but there was no sound of the crew. No footsteps. Nothing. The galley stove was still burning. I'd started the fire that morning. Now it was all I had for light, for warmth, for defense against whatever was up there. Night fell. I could tell by the temperature drop. The ship was still moving, but wrong. The engines sounded different. The movement felt different. Like something else was piloting. Something that didn't understand how ships worked. I heard them on the deck above. Footsteps. Too many. More than our crew of 12. And they moved wrong. Shuffling, dragging, like they didn't have proper legs. Something tried the hatch. I heard the lock rattling. Testing. Learning. Then it stopped. A voice called down. One of the crew. Williams, I thought. But the voice was wrong. The words were his, but the tone was off. Too flat. Like something was using Williams' voice without understanding emotion. "Cook," the Williams voice said. "Open the hatch. Let us in. We need food." I didn't answer. Stayed silent. Gripped my knife. "Cook," the voice repeated. "The captain says to open the hatch. Orders." The captain was dead. I'd heard him die in the first minutes of the attack. Whatever was using Williams' voice was lying. The hatch shook. They were trying to break through. I could hear wood splintering. They were strong, stronger than humans should be. I had the fire. The galley stove was red hot. I started pulling burning wood from it, piling it against the hatch. If they broke through, they'd burn. The hatch gave way, fell inward. I saw them in the opening, silhouettes against the dawn light. Human-shaped, but wrong. Too tall, limbs too long, faces that had too many features. They were wearing our crew's uniforms, our crew's skin, but underneath, they were something else. The first one tried to descend the ladder, hit the fire I'd built, started burning. It didn't scream, just backed away. The others learned, didn't try to enter. Instead, they started filling the opening with debris, blocking it, sealing me in. I realized their plan. They weren't trying to capture me. They were containing me, making sure I couldn't interfere while they did whatever they were doing with the ship. I'm sealed in now. The galley is my prison. The stove is my only light. I can hear them above, moving the cargo, changing course, taking the unicorn somewhere. I don't know how long I've been down here. Days maybe. The food is running low. The water is running out, but the stove is still burning. I keep feeding it, keep the fire alive. Because when the fire dies, they'll come back. They'll open the sealed hatch and come for me, wearing my crew's faces, using their voices, pretending to be human, and I'll become like them. Another skin for them to wear, another voice for them to use. The fire in the galley stove is all that keeps me safe, all that keeps me human. But the wood is running out, the fire is dying, and soon they'll come. Case, the sounding line. We were conducting depth surveys in a stretch of ocean no one ever talked about. The charts labeled it an abyssal plain. Flat, featureless, unremarkable. No shipping lanes crossed it. No fishing vessels worked the area. It existed only as negative space on maritime maps, a blank region between routes where nothing of interest was supposed to be. Our vessel, the Albatross, had been contracted to verify those assumptions. The company wanted fresh data, updated soundings, absolute confirmation that the seafloor was as boring as the paperwork claimed. I was responsible for the sounding line. It was a heavy steel cable wound onto a powered winch, ending in a lead weight roughly the size of a brick. The system was rated for depths well beyond what we expected to find. 10,000 meters of cable. More than enough, according to every oceanographic model we had. The first day passed uneventfully. 6,000 meters. Then a little more. The counter ticked steadily upward, the cable humming faintly as it descended through the water column. The sea was calm. Too calm. No wind, no swell, no surface disturbance at all. At night, the stars reflected so clearly that the ship seemed suspended between two skies. On the second day, the line failed to reach bottom. We let it run until the counter exceeded the expected depth by thousands of meters. There was no impact, no slack, no indication that the weight had contacted the seabed. It just kept descending. The captain frowned at the readout and ordered the drop halted. We reversed the winch and began reeling the line back up. Halfway through retrieval, the tension gauge spiked. The cable shuddered violently, vibrating through the deck plates. It wasn't the drag you'd expect from current or pressure. This was a sharp, momentary resistance. Something had tugged on it. Once. Deliberately. The deck went quiet. No one spoke. When the weight finally broke the surface, we gathered around it. The lead was scored. Not scraped by rock, not cracked by pressure. It bore shallow, curved impressions that ran around it in a pattern none of us could identify. The metal was warm, despite having spent hours in near-freezing water. We logged it as equipment interference. The ocean is vast after all, and anomalies happen. That's what we told ourselves. That night, I woke to a sensation I couldn't name at first. A vibration. It wasn't audible exactly. More like a pressure oscillation moving through the hull. It passed through bone and tissue rather than air. When I realized it was rhythmic, my stomach tightened. I checked my watch. The vibration came again 90 seconds later. The sonar operator confirmed it during the morning watch. A low-frequency signal, far below standard biological ranges. Too consistent, too controlled. We switched to passive listening. No active sonar, no pinging, no lights below deck, just silence. The signal changed. Not abruptly, but subtly, as though it were adjusting itself. The pitch rose by a fraction. The interval shortened slightly. It felt like something refining its output, responding to our presence. By the third day, navigation instruments stopped agreeing with one another. GPS showed us drifting in slow circles. Star fixes suggested straight-line movement. The sea beneath us showed impossible depth variations, sharp drops and rises where none should exist. The abyssal plain wasn't flat. It was layered, folded. The captain ordered another sounding. I protested. Several of us did. But contracts and deadlines carry more weight than unease, and the order stood. We released the line. This time, it descended faster than before. The counter raced past previous readings, alarms flashing as it exceeded calibration limits. The cable sang as it fed out, the sound rising in pitch until it bordered on painful. Then it stopped. Not bottomed out. Stopped. The tension gauge slammed into the red. The cable was being held. Before we could react, the line began to move upward. The winch was disengaged. Something below was pulling it back. The cable reeled itself in, meters at a time, slick with a dark residue that smelled of brine and something older, like stone left submerged for centuries. Crew members backed away as the steel writhed, flexing under forces we couldn't see. The lead weight emerged last. It had been reshaped. The metal was no longer a simple block, but pressed inward along symmetrical grooves, as if molded by immense pressure applied with intent. Patterns spiraled around it, repeating with unsettling precision. Then the cable snapped. The recoil flung 2 men over the rail before anyone could react. They vanished without a splash, as if the water had swallowed sound itself. What followed was worse. The ocean surface beside the ship rose, not as a wave, but as a distortion. Water bulged upward, held in place by something massive just beneath it. It did not breach. It did not reveal itself. But we heard it breathing. Slow, deep, measured. Each breath coincided with the vibrations we had felt before. The sonar operator screamed that the return wasn't singular. The signal showed depth within depth, mass within mass, descending endlessly without edge or termination. The captain ordered full power. The engines failed. The severed end of the cable on deck began to move. Steel fibers twisted, tightening, and pulling themselves toward the rail as though drawn by something below. No one tried to stop it. We watched as it slid back into the sea. The breathing slowed. The water bulge drifted along the hull, perfectly matching our position despite our dead engines. Something scraped along the keel, metal against metal, slow and exploratory, as if tracing the ship's shape. Then, without warning, it stopped. The water flattened. The pressure vanished. The engines roared back to life. We fled the area at full speed and never looked back. Official reports list the incident as mechanical failure compounded by navigational error. The lost crew were recorded as accidental casualties. The sounding equipment was decommissioned and destroyed. I kept a short length of the cable. Sometimes, when the room is quiet, I can feel it vibrate faintly in my hands, like an echo traveling upward from somewhere impossibly deep. I've learned since that no one conducts soundings in that region anymore. It isn't marked as dangerous. It isn't restricted. It's simply left blank. Because the ocean there is not empty, it is hollow. And whatever waits in the folds below does not pursue ships or hunt sailors. It listens. And when something reaches far enough down to touch it, it notices, and it remembers.